Aboriginal peoples have long known that a mix of crops is a really good thing, and there's what's called the three sisters, which is corn, beans, and squash. What I'm holding in my hand here has an incredible amount of life in it. And there are more than 6 billion living organisms in one handful of soil.
Now that's what I call a beet. Hi, I'm Coleen Rajat, and welcome to Vitality Gardening. This is a show about growing healthy food in an organic way. We have so much in store for you, and I want to give you a quick peek. Vitality Gardening, we are going to be sharing traditional and contemporary knowledge about the vital relationship between the plant world and Indigenous peoples. We, as Aboriginal people, believe that everything has a spirit and is alive. For thousands of years, we have approached plants with respect and humility.
I'd like to thank the Creator for supplying us with this medicine. I'll offer tobacco at the 4 directions of the plant.
Here on Vitality Gardening, we will be exploring traditional ways of growing vegetables, harvesting plants.
They are little ears of corn, and they're red and yellow.
And saving seeds for the next generation.
You don't have to go out and buy all the fancy tools. There's all kinds of tools you can make.
Yeah, including your fingers, as we were showing how to put the seeds underneath the soil.
We'll also be planting a garden in Canada's north to demonstrate that you can get a good crop in colder climates.
When you get older, you learn a lot of these tricks that you get younger people to do your work.
In recent years, there has been more and more interest in growing our own food. In fact, across North America, there are many waiting lists for community garden plots.
It just seems that, everywhere we go, it's true. Gardening is kind of exploding. So many more people are interested in
Absolutely. This food consciousness is just welling up. It's very, very much on everybody's mind these days.
We have a lot in store for you. We'll also be taking a look at wild plants and how they've been used for centuries as medicinal remedies.
So this is a stinging nettle, and I'm just going to spray it in the hair and blow it out.
For example, did you know that hair loss can be treated with stinging nettle? Okay, so I have to admit, I'm a novice gardener. I've never planted anything before. In fact, I used to think that gardening was time-consuming and difficult. But you know what? I was wrong. Watch how easy it was to plant my first ever vegetable garden. Coming up next on Vitality Gardening, we start putting some seeds into the ground.
So Audrey, this was super simple. I never thought that planting something would be so easy. I thought it would be difficult.
It's spring on the Canadian prairies, and there's new life everywhere. Even our turtle relatives are waking up for a new season. As I start to think about planting my first garden, I take a hard look at my backyard, and well, it's an eyesore. I have to admit I'm feeling a bit apprehensive about planting my first garden. Where do I start? Because I have no idea what to do first, I call upon Audrey Logan, who has been gardening for most of her life, to give me a hand.
Hey, Audrey. Come on in.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Not too badly yourself.
Good, good,
Nice
good.
sunny day.
Welcome to my garden, or future garden. Come on
Future
in.
garden,
Yeah, come on in.
yes.
Take a look. We're having the expert here examine my backyard. So as we can see, nothing has been done to my backyard. This is the way it's been since last fall. Do you think this is enough space, or what's your initial assessment of my backyard?
The initial assessment has got great potential. There's a lot can be grown in a small space.
Okay.
A lot. And that's how traditionally they did things too, was in a small enough area that they could plant everything where the plants help each other. And they get a great harvest from a small enough area that anyone can do it.
So I've actually never gardened before. I've never actually planted something. So what would be the first step to, basically, what do I do, Audrey?
First step, checking your soil.
Okay.
Because
You
in
can
your
buy a
soil, if
soil
you have it
testing
too
kit
rich,
to assess your
the native
soil
plants,
and
they don't
see
like
if
rich
it's
soil.
lacking any
So if you wanna
nutrients.
grow native plants in a sense
If it
like
is,
peas
you
or
should add
traditional,
compost,
wild
and we'll
plants,
have more on
they don't
this
like
later.
really good soil, but your vegetable type plants need good soil. They need
Okay.
nice, nutrient rich. Usually what I do is I poke the soil, give it a good squeeze, and if I can give it a poke and it breaks apart easily, then it's good. Usually it has equal amounts of mixture. Sometimes when it's a little bit more clayey, you want to add more leaves, more natural things to your soil to help amend that. Helps keep in moisture and feeds your worms. And your worms do all your work during the winter time to keep your soil nice and loose, because they come up and feed off your dead leaves. You don't have to know everything. So people thinking that they have to know everything, you don't. Simple basic thing, don't put the seeds in too deep. Keep the mulch on, which keeps your moisture levels. And it's really not that hard.
So Audrey, what about
Audrey also recommends to put down a layer of mulch before we plant. Mulch is ground cover, such as old leaves, hay, or cedar chips. Mulch keeps the soil from drying out and discourages weeds from growing. Audrey says it will be easy to find bags of discarded leaves from people doing spring cleanup. So off we go in search of mulch. Hey, who needs a gardening store?
We're going treasure hunting.
No treasures here.
On another show?
Yeah. No treasures here.
Hey, all right. Straw, just what we need. Gold value. Now we're going to haul this back to my backyard, and we're going to actually dig it into the soil to get ready for planting next week. And hey, who needs a gardening center when you can actually go into your neighborhood, take a walk, and find a hidden treasure like this?
All the
There
time.
you go.
Good mulching for your...
As we head back, Audrey gives me another tip. You should spend some time examining your yard to see how much sunlight you get. That way you can figure out the best place to plant your veggies. For example, corn needs a lot of sun, while vegetables like spinach and lettuce can be planted in partial shade.
Whoops. Oh, well, that's
Good right there.
Okay, so Audrey has told us to take this straw and dig a little bit into the soil, but mainly lay the straw over top of the soil in preparation for planting.
Okay. And with the straw, because it comes in nice flakes, it's really, really easy because each one will fill a good square 3 feet.
I know that I want to plant corn, beans, and squash, known as the Three Sisters, together, the way our ancestors did. They were planted in mounds, and when eaten together, they provided a balanced diet.
How do you start planning out how we're going to plant things and where?
How I start planning out things is, first of all, deciding what I want to eat for the year. One year I wanted pole beans, next year I wanted bush beans. So, you want to think about what it is you're going to be cooking for the year.
I'm excited about planting the way our ancestors did. The big day has finally arrived. We're actually going to put seeds in the ground today. I spoke to an elder who collects traditional medicines, and his advice was to say a prayer before planting. So that's what I do. He said that in the old days, life was much harder than it was today, so our ancestors always prayed for guidance before embarking on life-sustaining activities. Hey, Audrey.
Good morning, Coleen. How are you this morning? What you up to?
I'm doing well, thanks. I'm getting ready to plant. So what should I do first?
First thing we got to do is remove all the hay.
Okay, well, I'll grab the pitchfork and get on that. Okay, so I'm going to clear it off to the back, I think, Audrey.
Yeah.
Just clear it out of the way. So I guess, do you want to explain to people why we're wearing skirts this morning?
Well, traditionally the skirt was always worn by the women, and as planters, it was also a sign of respect for our ancestors who have planted for thousands of years. And it's also very airy.
A traditional teaching that continues to be handed down says that it's time to plant corn when emerging oak leaves are the size of a squirrel's ear.
Now we get to plant the corn.
While the three sisters, corn, beans, and squash, are most often planted together, the planting techniques differ from region to region, nation to nation, and even between families. For example, the Hidatsa people are known to plant sunflowers, corn, beans, and squash in separate hills in the same patch. In contrast, the Iroquois mounds were about 1 meter wide and 1 meter apart, with corn, beans, and squash planted in one mound, with the bean seeds planted on the slopes. Hills and mounds like raised beds warm the soil quickly in the spring and provide improved drainage. In the dry desert conditions of the American Southwest, the Zuni people plant in waffle gardens, where the sides of rectangles of various sizes catch and conserve limited rainfall. So as we can see, our ancestors were ingenious at adapting and making the most out of their climates. Back in my yard, we're planting in a circular mound, 3 corn seeds in each hole.
So then that's all you need to do is having the three areas. You'll plant your beans in between and around. The beans will climb up the corn. This way each plant helps each other in the growing process.
We get the corn done, and I'm told to soak the blue corn seeds overnight in water and put the seeds in the soil the next day. So that's what I do. So Audrey, you brought something special along with you.
This is my great-grandmother's digging stick. And going in, since the soil is already soft, turns like that. Now see how it already made it nice and soft? Now of course they'd have other antler pieces that would have a wider base here, and that would actually act like a scoop.
So how far should you dig down if you were doing this? We're now going to plant Jerusalem artichokes. These plants were first cultivated by our ancestors, who called them sunroots, long before the arrival of the Europeans. The tubers were an important source of food, high in iron, and they also contained fiber and B vitamins. And this was a very important source of food.
Because it grew during the winter time. This is an amazing plant where the top grows during the summertime, gets a nice flower in that, but then in the fall, when the top dies, the bottom part comes alive and literally will form tubers during the winter. I've dug them up in successive months and seen each one have more tubers and more tubers, to where I've dug them up in March, in December, January, each month, and add more. And this way you can make your row of sunflower seeds. But this was a staple that they knew was in the ground every year.
And this grew all throughout the prairies.
All throughout North America. All the way down to the southern states. So we just put it in that way, and you'll see where the roots are there. And just cover it up, tamper down a little bit, and that's done. And you'll see the lettuce seed is very small. So that's why you can mass sow it, and you can also save some of it and do a second sowing once they start to deplete. And that way you can keep your lettuce going all summer.
Okay, so we're going to move right over here and put them in the ground.
And because we don't do in rows, because in rows cutworms can come along and take out your whole crop of lettuce. So that's why traditionally they would call what they call broadcast seeding, which is basically going like this. And you can kind of see where they're falling, right? And then you just go like that. And the seed will fall right into where you were. You can also use the stick, and if you can see any, you just push them in. Push them in lightly because lettuce seed does not need to go deep. In this way, the seed will naturally fall into the crevice without it being buried, because they're so small and light that they need to be on top.
Audrey, this was super simple. I never thought that planting something would be so easy. I thought it would be difficult.
No, our ancestors knew how to do it easy.
Exactly.
So that way they can enjoy the rest of the summer and their time to do all the other things they wanted to do.
Exactly. And you know, that's what we're really about here on Vitality Gardening, is that anyone can plant a vegetable garden, and that's what we're doing here.
Okay, and there again, we're just going to broadcast sow because we don't want rows.
Audrey and I get on to planting the beets. The beet seeds are also small, so we can plant them in the same way.
And seeing you can see them. So you can either use the finger method, or you can you'll be able to see them a little bit better because they are bigger.
Poke them in again, either with a digging stick or just your fingers, like a little finger rake.
Yep, you can pretty well see them because they are a little bit bigger.
Oh yeah, there's one.
The smaller the seed, the closer to the top of the soil. So if your seed is like dust, you just have to sprinkle it on top and that's it. But if it's a thicker seed, usually it's 2 to 3 times deeper than the length of the seed. But also this way I don't damage it.
The last thing we do is put in the onions around the perimeter of the garden. Audrey says the strong smell will deter critters from entering the garden.
How would you describe how life mimics plants growing and gardening?
Oh, that is such a deep one because everything is so interconnected. Right down from the lowly worm right on up to us. Without the worm, we can't get our gardens growing because they eat all the dead stuff. Everything is interconnected. And by us being disconnected from it, it is no wonder we disconnect from ourselves and our own communities. But once you get that reconnection back to the earth and to everything around you, you start noticing things that you never noticed before. You know, when you're up early in the morning putting your garden in, you'll notice that little bird that comes calling, and you'll notice when the leaves are fulling out or when the leaves turn that it's going to rain. You start becoming aware of your environment.
More in tune with everything.
And then when you become in tune to that, then you become aware of so many other things. That it just opens up a whole new door and avenue for you to go down that's very rewarding.
A few weeks have gone by and my garden is already showing signs of life. In this short period of time, our sun roots have already doubled in size. Now that the soil has warmed up a bit, we can plant the beans and the squash.
Okay, now what we're going to do is just around the plant, make a little hole like that. You'll toss the bean in. And there again, we use this in a way to measure. So it'll be right perfect.
Okay.
And then you'll put around each plant. I like to do about 6, 7. And there again.
The beans will be planted with our sun roots and our corn, just like our ancestors did. Corn takes nitrogen out of the soil, and beans puts nitrogen back in. We plant the squash around the edges of the mound to keep weeds and critters at bay. I'm genuinely excited to be planting the way my ancestors did and I can't wait to find out how it grows. Small seeds like carrots and lettuce should be covered with a thin layer of soil and gently watered. Check daily to ensure the seedbed is kept moist with gentle watering until the seedlings sprout. Seed sprouts are vulnerable to dehydration. A finger test can be used to ensure water has soaked in slightly beyond the seed depth. Large seeds like corn or beans can be planted deeper, 1 to 2 centimeters or more. Weekly, gentle watering is often sufficient for deeply planted seeds. If you have heavy clay soil, it is important to keep it moist, as seedlings like beans may have a hard time penetrating dry, crusted soil. Coming up next, I meet a Mayan farmer in Mexico whose family has planted this way for thousands of years.
Muy bonito. La corn.
Welcome back. I've just put in my first vegetable garden and I've planted it in a way that dates back thousands of years to our indigenous ancestors. It's called the Three Sisters Way or companion planting. Corn, beans, and squash are planted together. The corn takes nitrogen out of the soil, the beans puts it back in, and the prickly squash vines help protect your corn and beans from little critters.
3, 4 holes in there. Okay. And there's our 3 mounds of, so there we go. There's our 3 mounds of watermelon.
I wanted to know more about this way of planting, and after doing some more research, it led me here, all the way to Mexico.
After all, indigenous cultures, our ancestors have been cultivating and domesticating food for thousands of years. That's why we're here in Mexico, in the Yucatan, at Chichen Itza.
Modern-day scientists believe corn originated in Mexico.
When you're eating popcorn, when you're eating a chocolate bar, when you're putting vanilla in a seasoning, when you're eating beans, when you're eating squashes, that's thanks to First Nations. And when you're talking about the whole development, of course, corn being used for containers and biodegradable materials, we've got to go back and thank the First Nations in Mexico that initially started it and all of the subsequent generations since.
We'll be bringing you this incredible history story soon on Vitality Gardening.
Well, that's all we have time for today. On behalf of everyone here at Vitality Gardening, have a great week.
Hi, my name's Gary Martins. I'm at the University of Manitoba in the Plant Science Department. And a tip about how long does it take a seed to emerge from the soil. After you've planted a seed, you can't expect to go out there the following morning and expect to see a plant. Depending on how cold or warm it is, it'll take quite a while. If it's a beautiful day like today with plus 20 degrees, it could still take almost a week for a soil to come out of the seed to come out of the soil. If it's really cool, like in early springtime, it could take up to 2 weeks for that seed to emerge out of the soil. So be patient.